a meeting with the Syrian president earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think.
Well, it appears that Marjorie Taylor Greene was actually sincere when she said that she was all about being America first, something that Trump ran on and then immediately proved that he wasn't serious about. So Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has been hammering both the Trump administration and the Republican Party, in particular Republican members of Congress, for a few weeks now, actually several weeks now. And today, as you just saw, President Donald Trump decided to hit back. Cenk, 2 cents?
Yeah, I love this fight, and mainstream media is getting something monumentally wrong about it, which is they're saying, "Oh, is Marjorie Taylor Greene less MAGA now that she's opposing Trump?" No, I think that they are completely missing what's happening for MAGA online. She's more MAGA, not less. We'll talk about why in a minute.
But more MAGA in a way that I like, right? And what I mean by that is typically when we thought of MAGA, we thought of, the people marching in Charlottesville saying the Jews will not replace us, right? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about actual, hey, we need to take care of Americans in America. There are a lot of issues in this country that have been neglected by the political elite. And that's the point that Marjorie Taylor Greene is trying to make.
Yeah, and so that was an old way of looking at MAGA. And I know that there's a radical right within MAGA, but we're mainly talking about Trump voters that were closer to the middle and overall, it doesn't, when I say that Marjorie Taylor Greene is more MAGA though, and MAGA's now become a confusing word because
because of
what's
the
happening.
Past and what it represents.
Exactly,
now.
But let's just say Trump voters overall. Is she more representative of the entire spectrum of Trump voters than even Trump is at this point? If you did it policy by policy, I'm positive Marjorie Taylor Greene would win.
And this story proves it. So let's get into the nitty gritty here because, well, before we get to some of the more recent criticism from Congresswoman Greene, I think it's worth hearing a little more of what President Trump had to say about her.
I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible president and we ended up with Russia, Ukraine, and we ended up with other disasters too. Don't forget, I put out 8 wars, 9 to come. But with all of that, I passed a great big beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's got some kind of an act going, but I'm surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know.
Okay, he's full of crap, and this is what I mean by that, okay? Just stay with me. He just did the typical federal government fear-mongering about national security and how like, oh, I'm not just the president of the United States, I have to think about what's happening in the world for our national security. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially the argument he's making. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been critical of Trump because he seems to be very preoccupied with his disgusting foreign policy that has not been beneficial for the American people, but has been beneficial to foreign countries, namely Israel, namely the fact that we have funneled $30 billion in taxpayer money since October 7th to Israel. Now, some of that money was allocated by the Biden administration, of course, but Trump is proud of the fact that he is the most Israel first president, the most pro-Zionist president, probably in US history, to be quite frank. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has been criticizing the Trump administration over that because she wants them to focus on what's happening here at home. And if you're really worried about national security and terrorism, as we heard about over and over again when it came to Zoran Mamdani, who is not a jihadist at all, who is not a believer in terrorism at all, how about the fact that today a photo came out featuring an Al-Qaeda terrorist who's now the new president of Syria in the White House, cozying up to Donald Trump. And guess what? Marjorie Taylor Greene made some comments about that, okay? So that's Ahmed al-Shara, that's the individual I'm speaking of. And here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say. The new leader of Syria is a former Al-Qaeda terrorist wanted by our government who is meeting with President Trump today at the White House on the US Marines 250th anniversary. Thank you, Congresswoman Greene, for making that point. I am absolutely disgusted by this, considering Al-Qaeda carried out the worst terror attack on US soil. Of course, I'm talking about 9/11, when thousands of our people were killed as a result of Al-Qaeda terrorism. But let me continue with the rest of her statement. She also said, I would really like to see nonstop meetings at the White House on domestic policy, not foreign policy and foreign countries' leaders. Start by hauling in the health insurance companies' executives, and let's start formulating our Republican plan to save America from Obamacare and ACA tax credits that have skyrocketed the cost of health insurance. So what she's referring to there is Congress's unwillingness and failure in extending subsidies for the Affordable Care Act that would help to keep health insurance premiums low. Since they failed to extend those subsidies, health insurance premiums have now doubled. So you're welcome, America. Congress doesn't care about you. The Trump administration doesn't care about you. Now, here's Greene's response to Trump, per Kaitlan Collins of CNN, of course. After President Trump told me in the Oval that she had lost her way, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene responds, telling us in a statement provided by her team, quote, I haven't lost my way. I'm 100% America first and only, end quote.
Yeah.
I love it.
So on the foreign policy stuff, not only all the things that Anna said, but also we're bombing Venezuela. We moved half our fleet off their coast, and then we're threatening a giant war with Venezuela. Who talked about that during the election?
And Somalia, by the way.
Right. I mean, was that a campaign thing that Trump ran on? Oh, if you are like me, I'm anti-war plus, I'll start a war with Iran, Venezuela, and Yemen. Okay, so that makes no sense. I've been reading reports that al-Shar is a lot better than Bashar was, but that's such a low bar. He's such a, Bashar al-Assad was such a butcher. But bottom line is, no matter what you think about all this, is Marjorie Taylor Greene more, or is she closer to the Trump voters in saying all of these things? Number one, on a big scale picture, foreign policy versus domestic policy. Most Trump voters would say focus on domestic policy. So they would agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene and not get into the weeds of which Al-Qaeda guy and how many wars should we start, et cetera. They didn't agree with anything Trump is saying on that stuff during the campaign, right? So they agreed with Trump in the campaign, who was saying the exact opposite of what he's doing as president. So okay, so now score one for Marjorie Greene on the big issue. Smaller issues, one by one. Epstein files. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, release them. Trump says they're a Democratic hoax and never existed. Score 18 for Marjorie Taylor Greene when it comes to Trump voters.
100%.
Right.
His administration helped move Ghislaine Maxwell to the Club Med of prisons, just to ensure that she didn't leak anything that might make the president look bad.
We're gonna try to get to that story later in the show. I mean, they're giving her like luxury meals now. Like that, it's
crazy, guys. They're letting her play with puppies.
Oh, they're bringing in special puppies for her. Like, no, she's gotten the full Israel treatment now. Like, Israeli citizens always above American citizens, always. So Ghislaine Maxwell's dad was one of the legendary Israeli spies, et cetera. We've been over it. So Epstein. Number two, on Israel itself. Before, Republicans were on Israel's side, and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, sure, take our wallets, take everything, kill anyone you like, because my pastor told me. Now they found out their pastors probably got bribed by Israel. There's a giant propaganda campaign. Again, later in the show, we're gonna tell you, they're gonna target a lot of the Christians again, and just the media, politicians, pastors, et cetera. Israel has bought almost all of them. But good news, now the entire young right wing has woken up and they're furious about it. So who do they agree with? Trump kissing Netanyahu's ass, or Marjorie Taylor Greene saying not one more dollar? Score another one for Marjorie Taylor Greene. And the list goes on. She's anti-war, he's pro-war. But now, critical is, and this is where we're gonna find out what happens to Trump voters in a way that like no one is really focusing on. Because now she's gone over to domestic policy, and since she's not taking the corporate PAC money, she's now going, wait, why are we in favor of doubling the premiums? She's like, I'm hearing every day from my voters that they don't want their premiums doubled. Of course, who would want their premiums doubled? Who would be that stupid and maniacal? Oh yeah, the corporations aren't making enough money. Double my premiums so I can't afford it and my kids die when I don't have insurance, so that your corporate donor can make more money. So if you put it to a vote, Marjorie Taylor Greene's position, don't double the premiums, And Trump's position, yeah, double the premiums. Our donors are going to be thrilled. They're going to vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene on that one. And the list goes on. Cutting SNAP. Trump's for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene's against it. Once you release them from the shackles of corporate rule, these politicians on both sides, just like on both sides,
better.
They're a million times better.
Yeah, it's
right?
crazy. It really
so
is.
So before, 98% of the politicians, a couple of exceptions, Bernie Sanders, Tom Massey, were always true and honest, right? But 98% of them secretly totally agreed to serve the donor class. Now, the ones that have been released one by one, right? Ro Khanna never take corporate PAC money. The Squad was not allowed to take corporate PAC money. Now, then Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, etc. Anyone who's been liberated from corporate rule immediately goes, yeah, why don't we serve the voters? So you put any of those policies to a vote with Trump voters, and they're gonna think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is more true to their ideology than Trump is.
Well, they're not just gonna think it, they're going to be accurate about it because the proof is in the pudding. And she is proving herself to be someone who is absolutely outraged at the fact that it doesn't appear that the priority with the Trump administration is here at home and what the American people are going through.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.